In the silent expanse of space, where stars whisper secrets in light years, the Earth's deep space array picked up an anomaly. It was not just another cosmic echo. It bore the unmistakable signature of intelligence. Dr. Samuel Reyes, chief of the Deep Space Communication Project, sat in the control room, his eyes glued to the screen where waveforms danced like specters. "This isn't noise," he muttered, more to himself than to the team around him. The signal was too regular, too deliberate. It was a message, and it was coming from the direction of the Cygnus constellation, from a star system humanity had only observed from afar. The room buzzed with a mix of excitement and dread. This could be it, the moment humanity had theorized about for centuries. First contact. But with this potential came the weight of hard decisions. Should they broadcast back, revealing Earth's location? The signal was received, but was it an invitation or a warning? Samuel knew the protocol. They were to inform the United Nations Space Council immediately. But he also knew the council would deliberate, perhaps for weeks, on the next steps. Time was not a luxury when dealing with unknown entities. He made his call. "Prepare the response," he instructed his team, his voice steady, but his mind racing. "We'll send a basic acknowledgement. Keep it simple. Keep it safe." As the team worked, a young analyst, Mia Chen, approached Samuel with caution in her eyes. "Dr. Reyes, if we respond, we're committing Earth to this. What if they're not friendly?" Samuel looked at her, his eyes reflecting the weight of his decision. "Then we'll have given ourselves the chance to prepare, or to hope." The message was sent, a simple string of mathematical sequences and a visual representation of a hydrogen atom, the universal sign of peace and science. They waited, the silence of space now filled with the tension of anticipation. Days turned into weeks, and the signal came back, this time accompanied by visuals. A race unlike any human imagination could conjure, tall, with shimmering skin and eyes that seemed to hold galaxies. They called themselves the Zaxxerans. The images suggested they were a peaceful people, with scenes of their world, lush and vibrant. But there was an undercurrent of intrigue. Among the peaceful scenes, a subtle image flashed, a fleet of ships, sleek and menacing. Was it a warning or a boast? Samuel felt the chill of doubt. Humanity had opened Pandora's box, and now they had to brace for whatever might come out. The decision was made to invite the Zaxxerans for a formal first contact at the neutral space station, Luna 3. But as diplomats prepared, Samuel couldn't shake the image of those ships. He knew that this moment could either usher in an era of interstellar cooperation or plunge humanity into an unseen war. The stakes were clear, and the die was cast. The first meeting would tell if humanity had just signed its peace treaty or its death warrant. The anticipation aboard Luna 3 was palpable, the air thick with the scent of polished metal and the murmur of hushed conversations. Humanity's best and brightest diplomats, scientists, and military strategists waited for the Zaxxerans. Samuel Reyes stood with Mia Chen, both watching the viewport where the Zaxxeran ship, an elegant construct of light and shadow, was slowly docking. "I hope we've read this right, Mia," Samuel said, his voice low. Mia, her eyes never leaving the ship, responded, "Hope isn't strategy, Doctor, but it's all we have until we know more." The Zaxxerans entered with grace, their forms radiating an ethereal glow. Their leader, an imposing figure named Zalkara, spoke in perfect, learned English. "We come in peace, seeking to share the wonders of the cosmos." The initial talks were promising. Gifts were exchanged. The Zaxxarans offered devices of unknown function, but described as tools for understanding the universe. Samuel, however, remained skeptical, his gaze often drifting to the devices with a scientist's wariness. As the day turned into night by Earth's standards, a celebration was held. Laughter and music echoed through the station, the humans and Zaxxarans mingling, seemingly in harmony. Yet, beneath this veneer, Samuel's unease grew. He approached Zalkara with a diplomatic smile, but a probing question. These gifts, their technology is beyond us. May we study one, learn from it? Zalkara's response was smooth, almost too smooth. Of course, understanding is the foundation of friendship. That night, Samuel and Mia, under the guise of a routine check, took one of the devices to a secure lab. The moment they activated it, alarms blared. The device was transmitting, not data for learning, but signals back to the Zaxxaran ship. It was a surveillance tool. "We've been played!" Mia hissed, her face pale with the realization. Samuel's mind raced. "We need to inform the council, but quietly. If they know we know, what's stopping them from acting now?" They decided to keep this under wraps, presenting the device's true nature only to a select few. The next day, during the ongoing talks, an attempt on the life of Ambassador Lee was made, disguised as an accident. A malfunctioning translator bot, a gift from the Zaxxarans, nearly crushed him. The sabotage was too precise to be coincidental. Zalkara's reaction was one of feigned shock, but Samuel saw through it. "We must reconsider our approach," he whispered to Mia. "They're not just here for peace." The chapter ended with the tension of an impending storm. Humanity had been deceived, and now, the real test of diplomacy, strategy, and perhaps survival loomed over them. The Zaxxarans had shown their hand. Now, humanity had to decide its next move, whether to trust or to prepare for betrayal. The air on New Terra, one of humanity's frontier colonies, was thick with fear. Commander Elena Marquez watched the horizon, her heart pounding to the rhythm of war drums in the distance. The Zaxxarans had come, not for peace, but for conquest. "Commander, incoming ships. They're not responding to our hails," Lieutenant Harris reported, his voice tense through the comms. Elena's eyes narrowed. "Prepare for impact. All units, to your stations. This is not a drill." Her voice was steel, but inside, she questioned the trust placed in the Zaxxarans. The sky erupted in fire as Zaxxaran ships descended, not in peace, but in fury. The colony's defenses were rudimentary compared to the alien technology, but they had one advantage: the human spirit. "Use the EMP mines!" Elena shouted, a desperate gambit. The ground shook as hidden mines detonated, sending electromagnetic pulses through the air, temporarily disabling several Zaxxaran ships. "Got one!" Corporal Lee exclaimed, but his triumph was short-lived as a Zaxxaran vessel, unscathed, unleashed a barrage of plasma beams, leveling a defensive tower. Elena knew they were outmatched, but surrender wasn't in her vocabulary. "Evacuate the non-combatants to the shelters. We hold this line." As chaos reigned, a Zaxxaran envoy appeared, projected into the command center. "Humans, your resistance is futile. Surrender, and we will spare your lives." The envoy's voice was smooth, almost hypnotic. Elena stood firm, her gaze piercing through the hologram. "We've seen your peace. We'll make our stand here." The envoy's image flickered, revealing a cruel smile. "Very well. Your bravery will be your epitaph." But then, a twist, internal communications intercepted by Marquez's team, suggested dissent among the Zaxaran forces. Not all were eager for this war.
Commander, we've got a signal from within their fleet.
Someone's broadcasting coordinates for a safe passage out, Harris whispered, eyes wide with the revelation. Elena faced a hard choice. Trust an enemy informer or keep fighting a battle they couldn't win.
Set a course for those coordinates, but keep our defenses up. This could be a trap.
As they moved, ships clashed above, the sky a canvas of destruction. Elena's shuttle, mixed with civilian transports, made for the coordinates, dodging fire. The twist came when they reached the supposed safe passage. A Zaxaran ship, different from the others, opened a corridor through their lines.
Go, humans. Not all of us want this war,
came a voice over the comms, strained and urgent. The shuttle made it through, but not without losses. Elena looked back at the burning colony, her heart heavy with the knowledge that this was just the beginning. They had a traitor in the Zaxaran ranks, but at what cost? The chapter ended with Elena planning their next move. Her resolve hardened. The betrayal was clear, but so was the glimmer of hope, an enemy who might become an ally. The war had just begun, and every move was a gamble with humanity's future. The remnants of New Terra's survivors had regrouped on the makeshift base on Mars, where the red dust seemed to mirror the blood spilled in the conflict. Commander Elena Marquez stood before what was left of her battalion, her uniform scorched, but her spirit unyielding.
"We've seen the enemy's face now,"
she began, her voice echoing in the Stark hangar.
"But they've underestimated us. They've underestimated humanity."
Lieutenant Harris, now her closest confidant, stepped forward.
"We need a plan, Commander. More than just survival. We need to fight back."
A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd. Elena nodded, her mind racing. "We rally, every human, every resource, Earth's factories, the moon's mines, every scientist, every soldier. We turn this planet into a fortress and those stars into our battleground." The plan was audacious, to not just defend, but to strike back. But there was intrigue in their midst. An unexpected visitor was announced. Dr. Samuel Reyes, the same who had first contacted the Zaxarans, now looking haggard but determined.
"Commander Marquez, I bring news from Earth,"
Samuel said, his tone grave.
"We've managed to reverse engineer some of the Zaxaran tech, but there's something else. There's an anomaly in their communications. Patterns suggesting not all Zaxarans support this invasion."
Elena's eyes narrowed.
"You mean there's dissent?"
"Possibly. A resistance within their ranks. If we can exploit this—" Samuel trailed off, the implications clear. The room buzzed with the weight of this revelation. Could they turn Zaxarans against Zaxarans? "We need to send a message," Elena decided. "A coded one. If there's dissent, let's give them a reason to join us. But we do this quietly. If the wrong Zaxarans find out, we could be signing our death warrant." The plan was set. Earth's shipyards worked overtime, producing not just weapons, but also a new class of stealth ships designed for espionage and sabotage. Meanwhile, scientists and hackers, like Mia Chen from the First Contact Team, worked on deciphering the Zaxaran language further to craft the perfect message. "Dr. Reyes," Elena said as they worked, "if this goes wrong, history might remember us as the fools who trusted the enemy."
"Or the heroes who turned the tide,"
Samuel countered, his eyes reflecting both hope and the shadow of doubt. As days turned into weeks, the first of the new ships launched. They were to infiltrate Zaxaran space, gathering intelligence and, if the opportunity arose, broadcasting the message of unity and rebellion. On the bridge of the lead ship, Elena watched Mars fade from view. We're not just fighting for survival now. We're fighting for something bigger. The intrigue deepened when they intercepted communications confirming the existence of a Zaxxeran resistance. But there was a twist. The resistance demanded a meeting, a face-to-face negotiation. The risk was monumental, but the potential gain was humanity's survival. Elena made her decision. Set course for the rendezvous. We're going to meet our new allies, or our executioners. As the ship ventured into unknown territory, the stakes were clear. Humanity was at a crossroads, with the path to peace or further destruction lying ahead. The rally had begun, but the war was far from over. The rendezvous was set in the shadow of a rogue planet, a place where no one would look unless they knew where to search. Commander Elena Marquez felt the tension as their ship, cloaked and silent, approached the coordinates. Beside her, Dr. Samuel Reyes adjusted his glasses, his face a mask of calm. "We're here," Elena whispered, more to herself than to the crew. A Zaxxeran ship, smaller and less imposing than those seen in battle, emerged from the darkness. Its design was different, more utilitarian, perhaps the mark of the resistance.
"Commander, they're hailing us,"
the communications officer announced. Elena nodded, taking a deep breath.
"On screen."
The image of a Zaxxeran appeared, not the intimidating figure of their leaders, but a being with a weary, almost human-like expression. "I am Threx, leader of the Zaxxeran Free Collective. We share a common enemy."
"Commander Elena Marquez," she replied, her voice firm. "We received your message. Why should we trust you?" "Because we've seen what our leaders have become. We want peace, not subjugation," Threx said, his voice earnest. "We can help you, but we need your help in return." Samuel leaned forward, intrigued. "What kind of help?" "Technology, information. We can disrupt their systems from within," Threx explained. "But we need your forces to strike where they're weak."
Elena's mind raced with possibilities.
"And what do you get?" "Liberation from those who've turned our society into a war machine, a chance for both our races to live free."
The room was silent, the weight of the decision palpable.
"We'll need proof of your commitment," Elena stated, her tone cautious.
Threx nodded.
"We've already begun. Look at your screens now."
On the ship's displays, data streamed in, schematics of Zaxxeran ships, weaknesses in their defenses, and, most intriguingly, coordinates of a major Zaxxeran military base. Harris, now at Elena's side, whispered, "This could be our turning point, Commander." But the intrigue wasn't over. As they sifted through the data, they found references to a Zaxxeran superweapon, something that could potentially end the war, or humanity. "We'll strike this base together," Elena decided, her eyes meeting Threx's through the screen.
"But this superweapon, we need to know more." Threx hesitated before speaking. "It's called the Starbreaker, capable of collapsing stars to create black holes. It's their ultimate threat. If we can destroy it or disable it, we might end this war before it ends us."
The alliance was a gamble, but one with high stakes. They planned a coordinated attack, combining human guile and Zaxxeran insider knowledge. As preparations began, Samuel voiced what everyone was thinking. "We're placing a lot of faith in our new friends." Elena looked at him, her gaze steely. "Desperate times, desperate measures. We'll keep our eyes open for betrayal, but for now, we fight together." The chapter ended with their fleet moving towards the strike zone, a mix of human and Zaxxeran ships, an alliance forged in the darkness of space. The intrigue of the Starbreaker loomed large, a shadow over their hope, as they prepared for what could be the most critical battle in human history. Earth's orbit was a battlefield, a chaotic dance of light and destruction. The Zaxxaran fleet, vast and terrifying, had descended upon humanity's cradle, their ships blotting out the stars. Commander Elena Marquez, aboard the flagship Resolute, felt the weight of every life on Earth as she coordinated the defense.
"They're targeting the major cities,"
Harris reported, his voice tense through the chaos. "We can't let them land," Elena barked. "All fighters, engage the enemy! Ground defenses, prepare for impact!" The sky was alive with the flashes of plasma cannons and the silent explosions of ships. Below, Earth's cities were preparing for the worst, their defenses a patchwork of human ingenuity and Zaxxaran tech shared by Thorex's resistance. Thorex's voice came over the comms. "Commander, we've infiltrated their command ship. We can disrupt their coordination, but it's a one-way trip." Elena clenched her jaw. "Do it. Give us the window we need." As the Zaxxaran resistance began their sabotage, the battle shifted. Human ships, now with insider knowledge, struck at weak points, causing chaos among the enemy ranks. But the cost was high, every minute bought with blood. "Look!" Mia Chen shouted, pointing to the screens where a massive Zaxxaran ship was destabilizing, its systems failing. "Thorex did it!" But the victory was Pyrrhic. "Commander, they're launching something from the flagship. It's massive!" Harris warned. Elena's heart sank. The Starbreaker. "All ships, focus fire on that weapon. We need to stop it from activating." The Resolute led the charge, dodging through a sea of enemy fire. Elena felt each hit, each loss, as if they were blows to her own body. "Keep firing! We can't let them use it!" The battle was an inferno, ships and lives burning out like candles in the wind. The Starbreaker began to glow, energy gathering at its core. "We're too late!" someone cried out. "No, we're not!" Elena said, her voice fierce. "Harris, get ready for the EMP, now!" With a desperate maneuver, the Resolute positioned itself directly in the path of the Starbreaker's energy spike. Harris activated the EMP, a last-ditch effort from their alliance with the Zaxxaran resistance. The pulse spread like a ripple, and for a moment, everything went dark. When the lights flickered back, the Starbreaker was silent, its destructive power contained. But the victory was fleeting. The Resolute was heavily damaged, systems failing, and alarms screaming. "Commander, we've got incoming! They're not stopping!" Elena looked around at her crew, their faces lit by the glow of battle. "Then we make our stand here. All hands, prepare for impact." As the Zaxxaran ships bore down on them, Elena made her peace with her fate. "This ship will be their tomb or ours. All power to forward shields. We stop them here, or we fall trying." The Resolute charged into the fray, a beacon of defiance. The battle around Earth turned into a maelstrom of metal and fire, with the Resolute at its heart. The chapter ended with the ship's final moments, its bridge silent except for the steady, defiant heartbeat of Commander Elena Marquez, ready to give her life for humanity's chance at survival. The skies above Earth were a canvas of chaos, colored by the fires of war. The Zaxxaran fleet, a dark swarm against the night, descended upon the planet like a plague. New York, once a symbol of human achievement, now lay in ruins, its skyline a jagged silhouette against the burning horizon. Commander Elena Marquez, leading the human defense, moved through the rubble with purpose. Her face, streaked with soot and sweat, reflected determination amidst despair. She knew this might be humanity's last stand. The Zaxxarans had brought their full might, but so had humanity, with every weapon, every trick, every ounce of courage. The Zaxxaran ships blanketed the sky, their advanced technology overwhelming. But humans had one last card to play, the virus developed from Treloran tech, aimed to infiltrate and disrupt Zaxxaran cybernetics. Elena watched as the virus was unleashed, a silent wave through the digital ether. The impact was immediate. Zaxxaran ships began to falter, their systems glitching, weapons misfiring. But this victory came with a cost. The betrayal was silent but devastating. One of their own, a high-ranking officer, had sabotaged the virus deployment, ensuring it wouldn't reach all enemy ships. Elena's heart sank as she saw the unaffected Zaxxarans regroup, their numbers still formidable. She realized the betrayal too late. The officer, now fleeing to the enemy, had sold out humanity for promises of power and survival. With betrayal in the air, the battle raged on. Human fighters, both in the sky and on the ground, fought with ferocity born of desperation. Elena, coordinating from a makeshift command center in the ruins of an old skyscraper, saw her forces thinning. The Zaxxarans, despite their losses, pushed towards the heart of the city, intent on crushing humanity's spirit. But then, a twist of fate. The Zaxxaran resistance, led by Thorex, made their move. Cloaked ships emerged from the shadow of the moon, striking at the enemy's rear. The battle turned. Human and Zaxxaran rebels fought side by side, the once clear lines of allegiance now blurred by mutual survival. The city became a labyrinth of conflict, each street a battlefield, every building a fortress. Elena, amidst the chaos, made her decision. She would lead a final push, using the chaos to her advantage. With a small, elite force, she aimed for the core of the Zaxxaran command ship, now vulnerable due to the virus. The streets were a blur of action. Bullets, plasma, and courage filled the air. Elena's team fought through the enemy lines, her leadership turning the tide of each skirmish. But as they neared the command ship, another betrayal struck. A Zaxxaran, pretending to be with the resistance, detonated an explosive, decimating half of Elena's team. Injured but undeterred, Elena pressed on, her resolve as unyielding as the steel beams of the city around her. She infiltrated the ship, her mind focused on one goal: disable the Starbreaker. Reaching the control room, she faced not just Zaxxaran guards, but the high-ranking human traitor, now in Zaxxaran garb. Their eyes met, and in that moment, Elena knew this would be her final battle. With the last of her strength, she set the virus to corrupt the Starbreaker's system, ensuring it would never fire. As the ship began to implode around her, Elena saw the traitor's horrified realization of his own doom. The chapter closed with the explosion of the Zaxxaran command ship, a beacon of hope and sacrifice. Below, the battle continued, but now humanity had a chance bought with betrayal and blood. The war was far from over, but the tide was turning, and Elena Marquez had given humanity its moment to rise. The light from the exploding Zaxxaran command ship painted the sky in hues of victory and mourning. On the ground, the battle raged with renewed vigor, each side now aware that the war's end was within reach. Humanity, inspired by Elena's sacrifice, fought with a ferocity that was both desperate and determined. Lieutenant Harris, now in command, rallied the troops. "For Marquez! For Earth!" he shouted, his voice echoing through the communications, giving new strength to weary soldiers. Above, the remnants of the Zaxxaran fleet, disorganized and leaderless, faced a united front. The Trelorans, having seen the turn of events, sent their remaining ships to join the fray. The sky was a chaotic dance of light and shadow, ships colliding, exploding, and falling. Amidst the chaos, Therex, now leading the Zaxxeran resistance, contacted Harris.
Your leader's sacrifice has given us the opening we needed. We can end this today, together. Agreed, Harris replied, his voice calm but resolute. But we need to take out their remaining command structures. They're still dangerous. Thorex's image nodded. We've identified their secondary command center. We'll lead the assault there. You focus on defending Earth. The plan was set. The Zaxxaran resistance, with human support, made for the secondary command, while Earth's forces turned every city into a stronghold. As the battle reached its peak, intrigue surfaced again. A Zaxxaran ship, not of the resistance, attempted to flee, carrying with it what was believed to be the last piece of the Starbreaker technology. A human pilot, desperate for one final act, pursued. Time to end this for good. The pilot, a young woman named Jin, muttered to herself, her hands steady on the controls. She managed to disable the Zaxxaran ship, ensuring the Starbreaker's technology would never threaten again. Back on Earth, the ground war was brutal. Every street, every building was a testament to human resilience. The Zaxxarans, realizing their defeat was imminent, began to surrender or flee. Harris, coordinating from a makeshift command center, received a message from Threx. Their fleet is scattering. We've taken the secondary command. It's over. But the victory was bitter. Harris looked around at the devastation, the cost of war laid bare. Send the message to Earth. Tell them, we've won. The news spread, a wave of relief and sorrow. Humanity had won, but at a price that would echo through generations. Celebrations were muted, overshadowed by the loss of countless lives, including that of Elena Marquez. As the dust settled, representatives from Earth, the Trelorans, and the Zaxxaran resistance met in the ruins of what was once Central Park. The air was thick with the smell of victory and loss. We've ended their tyranny, Therex said, his voice carrying a note of sorrow for his people. But we must ensure this never happens again. The Treloran ambassador, a being of light and color, spoke. We will help rebuild. Together we can create something new. Harris, standing where Elena had once stood, felt the weight of leadership. We'll remember this day, not just for the victory, but for those who gave everything for it. We'll build peace from this ruin. The final intrigue came when, among the debris, they found a cache of data from the Zaxxarans, revealing plans for other worlds, other potential victims. It was a stark reminder of the vigilance required even in peace. The war was over, but the story of humanity's resilience, of alliances forged in the crucible of conflict, had just begun. The future was uncertain, but for now, under a sky cleared of enemy ships, humanity stood tall, united not just with each other, but with those they once called enemies. The narrative closed with Harris looking up at the stars, a silent promise to honor Elena's memory by ensuring a future where such sacrifices were never needed again.